All right. Well, welcome back to Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast slash webcast slash TV show, I guess, or YouTube
What
show.
isn't it? It's a car.
well,
It's a hot air balloon.
you know what? We love our podcast listeners. We love the listeners. That's the main thing. So this will always be a Audible podcast. But if you do want to see the show with some fancy graphics and some like side, graphics, and and again, once again, you can see the Chris Frank Games gaming room, or I don't know what do you call it, arena, I guess. Uh, it's pretty impressive. Frank and I were at the bar right now
Yeah.
having a drink,
Very
and
sci-fi.
yep, we're gonna be playing some video games in the back, some old arcade machines. I think there's a foosball machine back there. So if you guys want to join us, by all means. This is how you get Patreon members here, Frank. You create this fake
I love
arena,
foosball.
and you can join the arena for $10 a month. Uh, but this is Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast, and my name is Chris Otts, and then that's Frank White. Frank, how's it going?
It is going pretty good. Just been getting yelled at by Corey Haim a lot.
Specifically, you or just
Well, yeah, I mean, like me, as in like I'm failing to capture Arlie Ermy enough. These dead actors
Oh yeah.
causing me problems. This is a tease for later. I've been playing more Double Switch.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. It's a video game. Okay, I thought you were talking about like real.
Yeah.
I thought you got into a Twitter beef, with Corey
Yeah,
Hames. I thought that's what you meant.
He's been dead for 10 years.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
He's still mad at me.
What's the Corey that's alive? It's Corey. What do you call it?
Feldman.
Feldman, yeah.
Feldman's
The
and like,
the worst
I
one.
don't know if you could call it living. He's got like a cult or something now.
He's like the Ringo of the Coreys, is he? From the '80s
Yeah.
Coreys. Yeah. All right. Well, this is not '80s heartthrob review podcast. Well, speaking of which, Luke Perry, Frank died,
Yeah.
and
It's
very sad.
young too, like 50s.
As two kids from the '90s, I mean, when we were in middle school, Frank, Beverly Hills 90210 was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
on the
I didn't give a
planet.
shit about it.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it, but unfortunately, the way he died was.
He was good in various other random things that I saw him in through the years. Like he was in the Screwfly Solution
Yeah.
adaptation.
Wasn't he like in a zombie movie or something too, or something like that?
Yeah, he's been around. He
Yeah.
was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's probably
Oh, yeah,
the
there you
main
go.
thing that I know him from is the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The movie, right? Not the show. Yeah, I was gonna say, was he on the
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
But no, he wasn't.
No, because they don't really have anything to do with each other.
Yeah.
Other than being called Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
And tragically, he was in his father's bedroom playing with a gun with his friend, and his friend did a whirl-de-whirl and shot Luke Perry, and that's how he died. So very sad. Okay, that's a pretty famous plot point from Beverly Hills 90210. Episode. I remember when that episode aired. It was like the teach kids about like gun control and gun safety or whatever. So yeah, it wasn't like right wing or anything like that. The way I say that, but it was more like anti-gun, I suppose you'd say. All right. Well, again, we're gonna talk about some video games, and we have a lot of news, a lot of big announcements this week. A lot of interesting things going on.
Stuff's been happening.
Yep, for sure.
What's happening?
We have so much news. There's almost not enough room on the menu board, on the subject board. But we made it. We just had to decrease the font a little bit, and we got it on there. But
And
there's not.
even more. We have so many things. There's things that aren't even on there.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so I guess let's start off with I think probably the biggest news of the week is Nintendo. Like I think it was like late last night or earlier this morning. Yeah, it was late last night. It was probably morning, like Japanese time, I would imagine. But they announced Labo VR kit.
Labo.
A Labo VR kit, which is pretty much like Google Cardboard.
Makes sense.
Yep, and Frank, I'll do a victory lap here. I said like this is probably gonna happen. Like Nintendo can put the Switch, something like these virtual reality headsets where you just gotta put your cell phone in there. I mean, they're gonna do the same thing. and that's what they're
So
doing.
it's just doing stereoscopic 3D, and then you get a cardboard viewer,
Yep.
apparently, right?
Yep, exactly. So there's two packs. There's one that has like 5 different things you can build, and some of these things they're a little crazy. Like one's kind of shaped like an elephant, and then one's kind of like this futuristic like cannon thing, and the other one's almost like a zoom like camera, and I guess it uses the one of the Joy-Con infrared things as a camera. So I don't know. I guess they're doing some pretty interesting things here. I don't know why they need like several
So is it
different
like
attachments.
augmented reality stuff too, then, or what the heck? What
Yeah,
is that for?
I don't know. They haven't actually showed any like gameplay or any like game pictures of it. They just showed the outside of it
Yeah,
and
that's the
stuff like
thing
that.
that's confusing me is that there's like multiple kinds. That it's not just like
Yeah,
one thing that you can play several games on.
yeah,
But
exactly. So, but then there's that one pack that's the big one, and then there's a smaller pack which is just the goggles, and like strictly a VR kit, and then what do you call it? Just the cannon as well. So I'm guessing that. I wonder if you can play like, what if you can play first-person shooters with that thing? I mean, that'd be crazy. Playing Wolfenstein with that thing. I mean, that'd be kind of crazy, huh? So
probably causes stiff neck after a while.
I would guess, yeah, and especially if you have to hold the thing. It looks like you have to like hold the thing in front of you. So I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. Yeah. So that the big one with $5. I'm sorry, with 5 pieces is gonna be $79.99. So they're sticking to that price point, entry price point. And then the one with just the goggles and that cannon thing is gonna be $40, which I think is actually pretty smart because I can see a lot of adults who don't really care about these extra kitty things, and they just want to get this VR experience, me included. So I can definitely see myself picking this up
That's how
when
I
it
get
comes
you.
up. Yep, for sure. So there you go, Nintendo with the VR. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Is it going to be real VR or is it just going to be like? I mean, yeah, I imagine it's just going to be something like the 3DS where it's like a simulated VR and it's not going to be like anything complicated where you're like in a world or anything like that. I would imagine. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, you've got the 3D there solved, but like, how are you doing head tracking and audio and all that? Like, yeah, there's so many questions. I have so many questions.
Well, I mean, the
And also, I don't care that much.
the Joy-Cons can like they got all that gyroscope and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's a way to do it. But yeah, yeah. So very very interesting. Nintendo coming on VR, and I was just thinking about this. You hear about all these companies putting all this money into all these VR games and all that stuff. Well, Nintendo's been making 3D games for like a 3D system for like 5 years now with a 3DS. I mean, probably longer. So
Yeah.
these guys, they don't do anything. They just kind of give you a unique perspective. So you're like looking into the action, and they don't change much when it comes to gameplay, and they don't really do challenging gameplay in 3D. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the actual games are
It's a
that comes out.
cardboard Virtual Boy. Just gonna
Yeah, there
have
you go.
Virtual Boy games.
Yeah, only Virtual Boy had been cardboard, red cardboard. That's all you need. All right, so that's pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to see what. Yeah, it comes out in March 2nd, or something
Actually,
like that.
come to
So
think of it, they
oops.
really like missed a beat there, not like calling it Virtual Boy Color or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Or Virtual Boy Advanced. How about that? All right, and then more Nintendo news. A lot of Nintendo news going around here. We heard that from the Wall Street, Wall Street Journal, which is more business focused. A story about some of Nintendo's mobile game partners like DNA and I don't know some other ones and all like that, saying it's not quite as profitable as they thought working with Nintendo because Nintendo doesn't want to rip off their customers and charge people too much money. And from the story, fearing such behavior will damage Nintendo's brand image, the company has asked its partners to adjust the game so that users won't spend too much, according to people familiar with Nintendo's strategy. Nintendo is not interested in making a large amount of revenue from a single smartphone game, one cyber agent official said. That's, I guess, one of the companies. If we managed the game alone, we would have made a lot more. So, okay, there you go, you greedy bastards. So,
Yeah. So there we are. You can't
it's
can't
gonna.
please these people. Like, let's make a good product and make happy customers. And they're
More
like,
money.
we could make more money squeezing the blood out of them like oranges.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm on the record for saying I don't really care about ripping people off on these mobile games and all this stuff. Well, I mean, the whales and all this stuff. I think people have their own decisions to make. But it's nice to see Nintendo Has some actual like what do you call it? Morals, I guess, I suppose.
Yeah. It's nice to see any corporation have even this, the slightest sense of moral. I mean, even though obviously it's still self-serving in that, they care about their brand image.
Oh yeah.
It's not purely out of the goodness of their hearts. It's like maintaining that family-friendly veneer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't want stories on the Monday, on Good Morning America. Little Johnny spent $10,000 on Super Mario Run, or whatever.
Yeah.
What is Nintendo doing?
It's the Mortal Kombat blood code, only it's a code that
Yeah.
lets you waste more money.
Although there's a billion other companies doing this stuff way worse, but Nintendo's the big name, so that's why that's the front page news. So, all right, so there we go. Bless Nintendo, bless Nintendo. All right, where would this game industry be without Nintendo? Right? It would be pretty
It
sad.
would definitely be a wildly different place.
Very dour, very dour. All right, and then here's something cool. Tetris 99 is going to have called a Maximus Cup, an online event for this weekend. So basically, there's like a time frame. Event runs from March 8th, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to March 10th, before the stroke of midnight. And the top, so basically, you play the most wins. In that time frame, the top 999 players will get, here we go, Frank, a big prize. Drum roll, please. $10 in the eShop credit, Nintendo Online Store. So there you go.
Could be worse.
I guess, right? It could be like $100 though. I'm sure that shit's pretty tough to be the top 1,000. I would imagine. I got nowhere
what
close.
The number one guy get?
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably a feature. Probably. How about a Nintendo Direct? How about that? Its own Nintendo Direct. All right. So yeah, Tetris 99 is a really cool game. It is. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
I feel like I missed my window. Like, I mean, I don't have a Switch, so I can't play it at all. But like, it feels like a Dark Souls game, where if you want to be competitive in the online, you better get in fast before everyone figures out how to play and gets good.
Yeah, it becomes light years better than you. So.
Yeah, because I feel like at this point, yeah, I would. I mean, I'm not bad at Tetris, but I'm far from an expert.
Yeah.
I also playing Tetris Effect. I don't blink enough. It makes my eyes very dry.
Yeah, so you got those reasons too. Exactly. All right.
Now I got to be looking at all those tiny little screens and figuring out who I'm going to attack.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's
too much for my primitive monkey brains.
Yeah, exactly. When I get stressed out, I see some people doing some crazy moves when their shit's all the way to the top, but I cannot do that. Cannot do it. All right, and then more Nintendo news. Everyone loves Nintendo news. The NES online games for March have been announced. Kid Icarus and Star Tropics. I've not played either of these games. And Kid Icarus is another one of those games that everyone else had, but I did not have. But Frank, did you play Icarus? Everyone loves this game, right?
I have played it. I never had it.
Yeah, I made it play it once, like at a friend's house or something. But I'm actually I'll play it. I'll try it out. Play a little bit of it. Then Star Tropics. I mean, I guess this is an RPG, right? That came late in the life cycle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, it couldn't be that because they made the Star Tropics too. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But that's the one. It's like it's you're looking for your uncle on a tropical island or something, and
yeah,
there were some platformer elements in there too. It had a cool cover. I remember as a kid. I don't think the cover was very representative of what the game was, though.
Yeah. All right. And then
we're going for the deep cuts.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then more Switch news. It was announced that Turok, the Dinosaur Hunter, the original N64 game, which recently had a remake. Well, not a remake. What, an upres? I guess you could call it.
Yeah, just like and it's an N64 game, so like the biggest thing is that it no longer runs at 15 frames a second tops.
Yeah.
20 frames a second tops.
Yep. And yes, coming to the Switch, and then Turok 2 will be coming later. Turok 2 is just too big of a game, too confusing, too much impressive game for its time, but just a little bit unplayable, I would say.
Oh, well, it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I mean, it still had the 20 frames a second thing, and like, and then yeah, it's amazing how poorly those games ran on the Nintendo 64, and then you watch them now, especially Turok One. You watch footage of the up-res version, and you're like, there's like five triangles on screen. Like there's
Yeah.
no geometry. They're so simple
Yeah, how do they
compared
make
to.
games on these things, Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Turok actually holds up because I think the gunplay is probably smooth. I would imagine. That's what I'm thinking. But did you ever? I mean, did you have these games? I never actually because Turok was like $80, right? When it came out, it was
I
really
I remember
expensive.
I don't remember how I played Turok 1, but I remember renting Turok 2 and playing the crap out of it for like a weekend.
Yeah. Did you beat it
Um,
by chance?
no, no. But I had fun with the well, because you got to play the multiplayer too, and like
Yeah.
get people with the cerebral bore.
Yep.
We've talked about this before. I could talk about the cerebral bore for a long time. It's the phantasm ball weapon.
Yep. All right. Well, I will not be playing any of these Turok games. I played them 25 years ago, or 20 years ago, whatever. I do not need to play this crap again. So I refuse to rebuy these games. All right. I fuck these guys. Fuck them. All right. All right. And then here's some more news. Man, everything just ends up just going to be ending up on tablets, huh? Sony announced that Remote Play for PS4 is now available on iOS. So just download the app, and then you can stream your game to your iPad or your iPhone. And there's actually virtual on-screen controls, including kind of a weird R2, R1 thing going on
Yeah,
there.
I
So
feel like maybe some relatively simple games would work like that, but we'll see.
yeah, I wonder how Battlefield 5 would control on that, or PUBG. Um,
Yeah, you get virtual twin stick, virtual. Did, can you turn on and off the number of buttons? Like if you're playing a game that's just like, you know, jump, attack, and one stick, can you deactivate all the other
yeah,
ones?
I have no idea. I am not sure. You talking about like what do you call it? What's that game? You play that fencing game? What's that called?
Oh, like Nidhogg? Yeah.
Nidhogg. Yeah,
But I
you
mean, there's a lot of
think
idiots
about
that are like
Nidhogg?
that. Like, not everybody needs to use all four, five, six, seven, eight, 8 buttons in the touchpad.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Actually, wait, no, because you 10, because the sticks are technically buttons too.
yeah.
Complicated. No wonder
So
people who don't get into video games are
how
like,
how about
I'm
the
never getting into video games.
how about the touchpad? Does the touchpad virtually deactivate all of the iPad extra functionality? Because it has to be a can't do all that fine granule control. You know, the touchpad on the
Who
PS4
knows?
controller. Yeah. Yeah, and then
What
you.
about six-axis stuff? Can I play Flower on it just by like waving my phone around?
Yeah, there you go.
I got so many questions. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to like try this weekend just to like experiment.
Yeah, I wonder if it how well it works. And then yeah, I mean you could what if you could play this on the bus like while you're going to work or whatever, or the train or whatever, or in your
You need
car.
a good internet connection, wouldn't
Well, you
you?
could do it from
Need
your
some
phone though,
fast.
right? You could get from your phone, right? If you have
Yeah, but
LTE, you'd imagine.
you'd need. I I have very limited data on my phone.
Yeah, I don't know how much that would take. So yeah, I mean, this is how all games will be coming to us, pretty much like on tablets and stuff like this, and it'll be the services. It's not going to be just cartridges or CDs or anything like that, or downloadable stuff. It's just going to be streaming to us. And I think there's just like little steps. I mean, because Microsoft doesn't have something like this, or do they? Am I wrong about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
They're
don't know
all
either.
gonna in a week.
Yeah, it's like a cool thing, but I definitely would not want to just play games on a screen like that. And I guess it does take third-party controllers. However, why can't the PS4 just, you know, sync with it?
uh, I'm excited for when I can stream my Switch to my iPad,
Yeah, you got two
just
tablets.
because
Your VR.
for the pointlessness.
Uh-huh. All right, so that's interesting. All right, and then here's some other industry news. The Xbox One S All Digital Edition. The SAD. The X1 SAD. Too bad.
How much cheaper is it?
Well, it's just rumors, so nothing actually has been announced. But it's going to be a discless console system, supposedly up for pre-order this April, And I mean, I don't know, Frank. I mean, would it be 150? I mean, it's got to be less than 200, right? No.
Yeah. But it's like, optical drives aren't that expensive.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it doesn't, I am skeptical because I feel like the loss of the optical drive, that the cost benefit that they're getting is not going to outweigh the lack of functionality, because now you can no longer just watch a Blu-ray on it. Not that does anyone do that anymore? I certainly
Yeah.
don't.
Who's crying over that? I guess, right? Yeah. I mean, I actually think this is gonna be like a Apple TV type of device where it's like super small and compact and everything like this. And I
Yeah, I
think,
suppose if the form factor is way down,
yeah. And
or if
this
they're doing other stuff, because I feel like they got to be doing more than just removing the optical drive and like shaving a couple inches off.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a gateway into their streaming service, like a cheap way to get into Xbox as well. And then you're gonna be able to supposedly get Game Pass on this, so
Yeah.
you get all those games. So yeah, I mean, I think this is just gonna
So
be part of the streaming service eventually.
maybe it's just a beefier, PlayStation TV.
Yeah, that's possible. And then here's the other question. I mean, if you watch these Digital Foundry videos about all these big third-party multi-platform games, the Xbox S, the base Xbox, is way behind on everything. It really doesn't seem like the developers are putting money towards those ports. And so why you're gonna sell everyone an Xbox Discless system that sucks ass and plays games like shit? I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess if you're streaming, who cares? It doesn't matter. But I don't know. Those are
Yeah.
my thoughts. All right. With this, okay, so it's $9.99. Okay, here we go. How about this? Here's a value proposition for you, Frank. 150. It's basically like a little bit, maybe twice the size as an Apple TV. 150 and Game Pass for a year. Would you be a buyer?
I don't know.
99 bucks? I think 99 bucks would be a sweet spot, but I don't think they're going to take that much of a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people would actually get it. All right. Or 79
Keep
bucks. How
going,
about that?
guys. $50.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, PlayStation Classic has been available for like 40 bucks around these days. So in less than what? It came out this past Christmas, right? So in literally 3 months, it's reverse
Oh,
meiosis.
can you jailbreak those to play any game yet?
I'm not keeping up with that stuff. So
Should we just get Raspberry Pis?
yeah.
I still want to play LSD Dream Simulator, but I'm like, I gotta get a Japanese PSN money code to use on my Japanese PSN account. I gotta go to like Play Asia to get something like that, and then I'm stuck watching it on the PS3 because I don't want to unplug that so I can plug it into a CRT because obviously it's gonna look better on a CRT. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of bullshit.
Problems. All right. Well, Frank, you know what would solve one of your problems? Your taxes
Mm.
and
I'm doing them. God,
and
what?
and your games you've been playing as well. You can get a 2-for-1. Actually, I don't know if this is still available, but I thought this is pretty interesting. Wario64 tweeted out a nice deal. H&R Block tax software deluxe plus state. Now that's Fed and state. 2018 with free Call of Duty Black Ops 4 for the Xbox and PS4. No PC love, I guess. So, but there you go.
Game.
I think this is actually pretty smart because I mean, you get all these teenagers playing these games, 20-year-olds, that they have jobs, right? Because they got to buy video games. They got to buy stuff for their video games, so they have jobs and they got to do their taxes. And if they haven't picked up Black Ops yet and they see this, hey, why not? I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta get the utterly pointless scam tax software. Don't get me started on the
Yeah.
tax preparers.
It,
It's an entire industry that does not need to exist,
yeah.
and it fills me with unreasonable amounts of rage as I get older and older.
Yeah. Well,
Do your own taxes.
for sure.
It's not that hard. It's a bunch of worksheets, especially if you're not itemizing.
Yeah, just fill it out on the boxes.
Boxes.
All right. Well, that was my last story. Frank, did you have any
Yeah,
news for
we've
us?
got more Valve news. Valve has stepped on some rakes. Uh, with well, first they've had layoffs in the VR department. They swear that this does not mean there's been a change in direction,
Mhm.
but
It just means
Valve
Half-Life 3 is
famously
almost
doesn't
finished,
have a
right?
lot of employees. Yeah,
It
let's go
just
with 13 guys.
just means that Half-Life 3 just is ready to ship, right? And they don't need everyone around anymore.
Yeah, Half-Life 3 VR. It's all done.
No, so would you say
So
there's only 13 guys left or something like that?
no, it's the 13 layoffs.
Oh,
So like
okay.
13 people got laid off from the VR department, but you know Valve is like a company with like 400 employees total for a multi-billion dollar company. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
uh,
who knows? Well, they got laid off though. Yeah. I mean, maybe they
mm-hmm,
just shit's not working out, right?
yeah,
I guess
that's well, yeah, it's just does not bode well for
VR.
VR.
Yeah, weren't they partnering with all these hardware companies like HTC, right? Did they partner with them?
Yeah, I don't think anything really came of any of those things,
Yeah.
but.
And then
But in more embarrassing, less businessy news, they were under fire this week for a game that got onto the Steam storefront called Rape Day, which is a visual novel about a psychopath going on a rape spree during the zombie apocalypse. And because of Valve's new, more laissez-faire approach to letting games on the store, was up there for several days until get the
well, I don't think it wasn't actually out, right? Wasn't it like pre-release or
uh,
something like that?
yeah, I don't I, yeah it had like a page on the store, but I don't know if it was actually like available to purchase
Because you have to
yet.
like put a thing on your store for like a couple days before you actually go on sale or something like that. Yeah. So what? Okay. One question though: were they raping zombies? Was that ever clarified? Is that a little bit better if you're raping
No,
zombies?
I like from what I like. Yeah, it's like I think the zombie apocalypse was just lampshading as to why you don't just the character doesn't just immediately get arrested.
Yeah. Well,
But
there's other stuff you do like right. You go stalking and some other like
yeah, but I
unfortunate
mean it's
stuff.
a visual novel, so it's not going to be a whole lot
Yeah.
of gameplay.
Yeah,
Um,
my whole take on this whole thing was, yeah, the game's abhorrent and all this stuff, and probably created by like a 20-year-old or a teenager to like get attention and blah 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 blah. But like, why? Isn't this the Streisand effect? I mean, would anyone have known about this game if it wasn't for all these video game
well,
websites?
that's the whole like they've got the trolling. So basically the rules are you can go on Steam unless you are, obviously like child porn or um, they you know, obviously illegal or definitely illegal is obviously right out. But they're kind of, get out of jail free card is that it's trolling. Like if a game is just trolling, so that's a pretty wide net they can cast. But that's basically what like these games are, is essentially just a cry for attention. Let's do the worst possible thing so that we can get the news articles. So like yeah, it's true, but um,
And plus,
uh,
aren't these news stories like helping promote the game? Actually, isn't this kind of what the person wanted, right? Is like all this stuff to be online, and
I
so
think it's more the attention, just because like I don't, I mean, guess who knows if they expected to actually be able to sell the game or not, or if they were just trying to make a controversy. Um, but
but yeah, so Valve did take it down, right, or stop it from being
yeah,
sold.
yeah, they well the funny thing, like the weird thing is that they took it down and basically apologized to the developers. Like so they basically they managed to do it in the worst way possible. They managed to do the right thing, taking this like obviously trolling rape game off the storefront. But they did it and basically said, we're doing, they basically said in a statement, I don't know the exact words in front of me, but they basically said, we're doing this so we don't get sued. Sorry for your free speech.
Oh,
But
oh yeah.
yeah, like, so they never actually like condemned, like, hey, you're creepy. Maybe don't make games about raping people. They were like, yeah, we're it's rare for a company to come right out and be like, yeah, we're protecting ourselves here. We're gonna wash our hands of this. So they just managed to do the right thing in like the most cowardly way.
All right, so let me just read this really quick. Over the past week, you may have heard about a game called Rape Day coming soon to Steam. Today, we decided not to distribute this game on Steam. Given our previous communication around who gets to be on the Steam store, we think the decision warrants further explanation. Much of our policy around what we distribute is and must be reactionary. We simply have to wait and see what comes to us via Stream Direct. We then have to make a judgment call. Any risk it puts to Valve or developer partners, customers. After significant fact-finding discussion, we think Rape Day poses unknown costs and risk, and therefore won't be on Steam. Therefore, not be on Steam. We respect developers' desire to express themselves, and the purpose of the Steam is to help developers find an audience. But this developer has chosen content matter in a way of representing it that makes it very difficult for us to help them do that. So, I won't say it.
No,
I won't
you're
say it's an
not
apology,
marketing
but
your rape game carefully enough.
poses unknown costs and risks. That's very vague, right? That's very vague.
Yeah,
That's
but
like that's like a
clearly
lawyer
just
term.
we are afraid of getting sued or running into legal problems.
Yeah,
So
or
it's
their
yeah,
office being stormed by a gunman or something like that, right? I don't
yeah.
know.
Just yeah, weird. Oh, just a weird yeah, and like I don't understand where they're coming from with this. Like that this is a tough call. This does not seem like a tough call at all. This seems like a pretty easy call.
Well, on
Like
the other, in fairness,
a
whatever.
tough call is like an erotic game where you're like, is this character supposed to be underage or not? Because she's an anime character and they all look underage. That's a tough call. Like
Yeah.
a game where you just go out and rape people.
Well, I
Um,
think the tough call is them saying we're gonna allow everything, and then actually going back because I mean this is kind of going back on that policy, right?
yeah, but I mean
So
they gave themselves the trolling like backdoor
yeah, well,
and
their philosophy probably is they would rather not ban games than ban games. I guess you would think, right?
well,
Uh,
of course. I mean, they're a storefront. They would rather make money than off of something than not make money off of it.
Yeah, well, it's the person who made the game is just kind of a little troll, and probably I wonder if he put his name to the credits. They should just publish that guy's name so he can not get a job in the game industry for a couple of years.
Well,
I guess.
yeah, that would be fun headlines. Valve doxes developer.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Do we know? Was it American, by the way, or it was probably some sick Eastern European? Okay,
Who knows? Probably, yeah,
did
probably.
we figure that
From
out?
what I saw from the storefront, the English didn't seem great, but
Yeah, there you go.
but again, it's a visual novel though, so you gotta at least you have to be aware that you're gonna have to write a lot. So I don't know.
Google Translate. There you go. All right. Anything else? Any other things?
We got an exciting new announcement today for those of us who love old school shooters. 3D Realms, which is just back now. They've risen from the grave, and they were like, "Hey, we're back, and we're making or releasing, publishing the same stuff we've always done." And it's very exciting. So it's called like Wrath or Wraith, uh, Eons of something or other. I don't
Eon of
remember.
Ruin.
Yeah, yeah. Is it Wrath or
Yeah,
Wraith?
it's Wrath. Eon of Ruin. A lot of
Wrath,
Wraths going around these days.
Yeah. So it's a Quake engine game, and the funny, what's really funny is that it's got on the trailer. They're like, from big names in the Quake community, like not actually people who worked on Quake,
Mm-hmm.
but
Oh
like
yeah,
people who
modders
are
and
very
mappers.
involved, like modders and stuff. which is just a funny thing to say. I don't mean any slight against them there because I'm sure they're very talented at what they do, and the game looks sweet. So
There's a Switch
I'm very
version.
excited about all these like goofy pixel, uh, low poly, old school games. Because as if you've listened to this show for any period of time, you'll know that Frank is extremely tired of AAA loot shooters.
Mhm.
I don't want to
Yeah.
see numbers popping out of people anymore,
Yeah. No.
unless it's like the only game that I'm going to allow, the only first person shooter game from now on that I'm not going to cringe at seeing numbers pop out is Cyberpunk, but that's because that's like a hardcore RPG, or at least I'm
Well, you could probably turn that
hoping.
one off though too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that style too. That blocky, early polygon 3D games style. And so this, I'm guessing this is the Quake 2 engine, but like they've made a lot of modifications to Quake 2, and they've really upgraded it, right? I'm not these guys, but like
yeah.
just the community in general. And it's kind of funny that 3D Realms is doing a Quake because they always did the Unreal, right? They always used Unreal
Well,
back in the day.
they was build. They were like
Okay.
Duke Nukem 3D
Oh yeah.
and stuff because they're also doing that Ion Maiden that I'm excited about, and um, yeah, so
All right.
it's good. It's going to be a good year for fans of like late '90s, early to mid aughts shooters. Bloody, violent,
Fast,
very little context.
quick, no audio
Yeah,
logs. Jesus.
yeah.
Uh,
But this one I really like the design. Just like I watched a couple minutes of like they put IGN had like 11 minutes of footage, and I watched some of it, and yeah, just like it's old school gameplay, um, with just a more detailed kind of design sensibility. I'm very excited about all these games that are like that appear to be all nostalgic and old school, but when you think about it, you're like, oh, things never looked that intricate or detailed even in back in the day. So
well, hopefully it's all about because and then even back then it was all about the level design, right? So hopefully they
mm,
know 20 years of experience. They know like how to make
yeah,
some good levels.
well, and hopefully they'll be able to keep it fresh, because that's the always the risk of these games is that you're gonna have a really good time for like 4 hours and then be done with it.
Yeah, it's funny
So
because those old school Quake games inspired the new Doom, and then I'm sure the new Doom inspired this game. So there you go. It's very circular
yeah.
circulation there. Very incestual. There you go. Very incestual.
Mm.
Um, all right.
But if one of these games could come out already, like I want to play Dusk, but I want to play it on the PS4 instead of having to emulate Windows on my computer. But we'll get around to it. We'll get there. We'll get there. They're coming.
Mm-hmm. All right, sweet. Well, do you have any other news for us this week?
No, I mean not really. We got all these releases going on, but there's not a ton to say since we're not playing any of them yet. At least Devil May Cry is getting good reviews.
Oh my god, I saw the. Did you see the moonwalking clip for Devil May Cry or the Michael Jackson
Yeah,
dancing?
yeah. There's maybe not the best time to like
Yeah.
have prominent Michael Jackson dances,
Yeah.
guys.
Maybe check the
Uh,
HBO release schedule for
yeah,
documentaries, right?
read the room. I mean, even apparently The Simpsons even took the Michael Jackson episode out of syndication.
Like forever.
Uh, yeah, well, I mean, you still just pop the DVD in or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Man, that's because that is a
it's not
classic.
gonna be.
That's a classic episode. That's like one of the
Yeah,
first two seasons, right? Maybe the first three, but that's when
yeah,
the
it's like season 3, maybe
yeah,
2.
that's when the show was well written. It was actually about stories and stuff. And you know what's funny? People never knew if he actually was, but yes, he did do that show.
Yeah, it was just clearly like we just had a cultural denial going on because it's not like it wasn't
Well, he was
obvious.
never in the credits, right? I mean, it was never in the credits or anything. So you'd be like, why would he not be in the credits? He has to be in the credits, right? And
Mm.
then because I remember some guy involved with the show. I think one of the original guys from The Simpsons was on the Adam Carolla show. That's why I know a little bit of the story. So Michael Jackson was the real voice, but then he had his friend who was like a good singer. I think maybe it was like his chauffeur or bodyguard or something like that. Actually, do the singing part on the show. So it was not actually him singing. So there's a little interesting nugget for you.
Factoid.
Factoid.
But yeah, Devil May Cry is getting good
Oh
reviews.
yeah, we're
Everyone's
talking
very
about that game.
excited about it.
Were you a
Uh,
fan of those games?
um, not a huge fan. Like, I played like the first one on my friend's like PS2 for a while, so I never beat it. And then I beat the more recent one, the rebooty one, the last one, because it was like a PlayStation Plus at some point. Uh, and I mean, enjoyed it. Like, I've never been a huge fan, but I've always kind of been amused by them. And it's the kind of combat that I enjoy. I never played the what is it, three is the one that's super hard, or is it two? I don't remember.
I have
But
no idea.
um, yeah, and I watched some clips, and it looks pretty cool. And everyone's very excited about the new character who is an indirect fighter, which is bizarre in a game like this, where it's a fast-paced like hack and slash. Um, because there's a third playable character just named V, who uh, only like he fights with like spirit familiars. So there's like a big crow and then a black panther, and so rather than attacking directly, you kind of guide your animal buddies into attacking the enemies, but then you have to finish them off. So it's got an interesting thing where you can't do any damage, but you have to. But your familiars can't actually make the kill. Uh, and yeah, it sounds bizarre in a game that's supposed to be all about this, fast-paced action. Uh, but yeah, everything I've heard is like people were super duper skeptical, and then most people have been quite won over by it, and then it's kind of a refreshing change of pace. So, yeah, it's just I wasn't like crazy hyped about it, and I probably still won't pick it up for a while. Uh, but it's definitely much higher on my radar now.
Capcom,
While
kind of.
Left Alive has like totally dropped off because like it can't even get anybody to review it. I'm glad I canceled that pre-order.
Left Alive. Oh
Yeah,
right, that was
the
yeah, that was I've seen that. People were streaming that, I think.
yeah, it's the stealth action shooter in the front mission universe. Uh, and yeah, I watched because it came out in Japan like I was pretty darn excited about it. And then I watched some Japanese streams before it came out here this week, and it was like, I think maybe this is a wait for PlayStation Plus or
Mm.
you know $20 kind of game.
It looks very
Um,
Metal Gear Solid-y.
yeah, but
The art style.
it's and I don't know, some of this could be patched too, but like there you've got an AI companion voice that like says warning enemies approaching like whenever you get within a radius of them, and just it gets annoying just watching like a couple minutes of a stream because it doesn't actually like take into account if the enemy is coming near to you. If you're approaching them, still says that, or if they're, on the other side of a wall and like you're just in that radius, it'll still say it. So I'm like, ooh, that's gonna get annoying. And then yeah, it just seems like kind of a janky budget title. There was a really funny clip because there is mech combat in it, and like so there's like an early like turret segment where you're in a damaged mech. Uh, this is like still in this tutorial basically. So it's like a turret segment. You're using the mech's guns, but you can't move, and like you're blowing up tanks. But the tanks like disappear after they blow up. Like you don't leave behind any husks or anything, and the explosions don't look that great. Nothing looks that great. I mean, it doesn't look. People are always like, "Oh, it looks like a PS2 game," and I'm like, "No, no, you guys are exaggerating. It looks like a really good PS3 game."
Hmm.
Um, but but the funny clip I saw was that they killed a tank with a melee weapon, like they just like with a shovel. And the clip was probably at the end, so who knows how long they had to wear it down. but the character is like right in front of the tank, and like so underneath the angle of the tank's gun, so it can't actually like hit the character. And just like sitting there wailing on it with a wrench or with this shovel, and then when its health bar goes down, it just turns into this like weird pixely explosion effect, and then it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and it's like an effect that like when you're blowing something up from the height of a mech, like it's like, oh, it's kind of janky, but it's not. But it's like when you're right in its face, when you're in the radius of the explosion, and then it's just gone. It's really obviously janky. So yeah, proceed with caution if you are a stealth game
who
fan.
who made this? Is it?
Um,
I don't know.
Square Enix.
Oh,
Uh,
seriously? Oh man, jeez.
yeah.
From must have been the B team, not the
Mm.
Final Fantasy team.
Well, it has like it's got the character designs are by like one of the Metal Gear Solid people, and yeah, it had um, like name talent attached to it. So who knows? I don't know what happened, but so wait for patches, wait for sales. It doesn't look entirely worthless, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
Mm-hmm. Word, word. All right. So with that, I think we will take a break, and we will be right back with the games we've been playing. All right. I'm not gonna play any music for this. So all right, we can keep going if you're ready.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, we are back. Thanks for sticking with us, and I'll just go really quick. There's an update for Battlefield today, and they added the game mode Rush, which was a long-standing game mode that they did not have in the game until they had it like in one mode, the Grand Operations, but they finally added it. Only added to 3 maps, so that's a little annoying. It'd be nice to have it on more maps, but they did. The problem with this game right now is that they haven't came out with any new maps since. Well, they had one map around launch, after launch, but nothing really new, and people are just really starving for new content. And it's nice to play this new game mode. I mean, that is nice, and they kind of make you go through the levels a little bit differently than all the other modes, so that's nice. It's a little bit fresh. But it's only 3 maps, so you're playing the same 3 maps kind of over and over again. And so basically, the game mode Rush is that there's two like explosives you have to blow up, two like a gun and then like a checkpoint or whatever. I don't know, something like a radio. And one team has to defend, the other team has to attack, and then there's like 3 rounds of that. And what was my point here? Oh, I don't know. So so teams take turns. So then you're really playing the same map like twice, only from defense or from attack. So that's a little bit annoying too. But on the other hand, it's only 32 people as opposed to 64, and I think this game works a lot better with less people because you just don't have so many people surrounding you and always like killing you and all this stuff. It's nice to have some time to like breathe and be tactical and all this stuff. So that is fun. I will actually like play quite a bit of this. It's only available for like 3 weeks, but they say that they will bring it back if it's people enjoy it. So we'll see about that. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. Then a bunch of Firestorm stuff has leaked, which is the battle royale mode that's coming out. So that should be coming out in a couple of weeks. And there's no class system in this. It sounds like. And because in the usual Battlefield game, there's like what do you call it, support, assault, and medic and sniper, and they all have their different weapon sets. But I guess it's going to be completely even for the game, and you're just gonna have to find weapons and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm definitely getting hyped. I definitely would love a nice battle royale game that controls well. That's 60 frames per second. That is not Black Ops, not Call of Duty. So, all right, that's what I've been playing. Frank, what have you got for us?
Well, also not a ton. I actually plowed through the remainder of Everspace just because the combination of the ancient weapon and leech perks utterly just break the difficulty of the game, like to the point where I feel like it was maybe a mistake,
No.
including at least the ancient weapon. Like I know they tried to balance it with negatives, but like yeah, it's just the game had totally lost any difficulty, and also unfortunately like most like nuance, like you're not using half of the items you would need to survive. Um, but it's hard. It's hard to go back. It's hard to like willingly give up such a powerful a loadout, especially one that like you could just have right from the beginning of a run. Like it's not something that you have to grind the materials to craft or anything. It's just there and better than everything else, but a little less interesting. So that was a bit of a bummer. But and like you're just raking in like I switched to hard mode. I'm just raking in the bonus money and blueprints. And so yeah, it's hard to go. Maybe the game would be more fun but also like way more difficult if I would stop doing this. But I just plowed through to the final boss, so it's kind of an interesting confrontation. Um, they it's a capital ship that you can't directly damage, and you have to flee its super weapon, then launch a missile from the environment at it while its shields are down, kind of thing. So it was a pretty interesting. It was a much different fight than most of the combat in the game. So it was a nice change of pace. But Wade through that, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm done with this now. I'll have to pick it up again and then try really hard not to just ancient weapon it up again. But
Mm.
we'll see.
Play it on your iPhone
Um,
with your PS remote. Right?
yeah, I can just do it on the toilet. Um, but yeah, so I'll give the game a 7. I've still enjoyed it, and it looks really nice. Like if you take screenshots of this game, it's almost deceptive, like how good it looks. Because as I've said before, like these backdrops are just kind of painted on. There's not all that much geometry, though. Playing on hard mode with the thicker swarms of enemy ships sometimes really starts to tank the frame rate. So I was a little disappointed that it couldn't handle all the stuff going on screen, because it's otherwise not like a hugely resource demanding game for how good it looks. Um, but so I moved on to Double Switch again. We picked that up back up, and yeah, those FMV games, I can only handle them for so long.
Mm.
But if you actually like were really good at it and you knew what you were doing, like they're only like a half hour long. So but yeah, it's frustrating just having Corey Haim yell at you. But I finally made it to the checkpoint in the middle of the game, where the twist is that Corey Haim's not necessarily your friend. So the gameplay gets kind of changed up, and more traps get added. But yeah, it's frustrating because you feel like you're doing good, and you're succeeding at something you failed at last run, but now you forgot about the guy who was turning the power off to the whole building, and now you got an instant game over. Or my other problem is I keep trapping. I keep trapping tenants. I keep trapping innocent people, and like sometimes that's a game over, and sometimes it isn't. It's not very consistent on that, but I finally made some progress in my weird FMV game.
All right. Is there like save like extra save slots in the because you're playing on PS4, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it's since it's an FMV game, it just kind of runs through. There's like one checkpoint halfway through the game,
Um, so but
so it's like thank God I don't just start at the beginning again.
you can't create your own like save point on these games, these remasters, whatever that come out.
Not really, and
Uh,
you don't necessarily want to either, because you might have already failed and just didn't haven't
uh,
realized it yet.
yeah. All right. Well, sweet. Well, I don't know. Any other FMV games on the horizon?
No, I think that's the two big ones. So
I don't remember that game at all. Like back in the day, I don't remember it coming out at all. So it was for
yeah,
this.
well, it definitely didn't like get the like is the Streisand effect all over again. Like it didn't. The controversy over Night Trap like is the reason why any of us remember it.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if you think about it, Double Switch should be the game that you remember because it has a more famous cast, improved gameplay, and I mean Debbie Harry. So,
yeah. There you go. What else do you need?
but it doesn't have the controversy.
No Dana
Joe
Plato.
Lieberman never, you know, shat on this game. So
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, if only could have happened. If only could have happened.
mm.
All right. Well, good tight 55 minutes. I think we should leave it at that.
Yes, we
So
kept it under an hour.
after so much news for this week, yeah, for sure. So all right. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Share the show, review the show, give it a thumbs up, do all that stuff. Help support the show get bigger and better every single week. Please.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit the bell.
Smash that bell button.
Rip the dial off the TV. Whatever they used to say. Like,
Yeah, don't turn the dial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for Frank White,
good.
my name is Chris Stotts. It's been Chris Frank Games. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
I gotta play the music, right?
I think I hear crying. Let's go attend to that.
All right. Hold on.